All right, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to the AllStar MMA Pick Show. I'm your host, JHK, and I am joined by JSpec, as well as UFC bantamweight Saidyokub Kakhramanov. Hopefully, I said that right. Probably didn't. I probably butchered that last part. My
You just go
apologies.
with Said.
All right, Saeed. Today we will be breaking down UFC Vegas 69 happening in the UFC Apex. We'll go through all the fights, make our picks and predictions throughout the fight or throughout the show. We will be utilizing the AllStar app and its picks option. Go into the descriptions right now. Download the app, follow along with us, make your picks, and I'll be making picks live on the show. You guys will see me. If you've seen the show before, you see the rotation and how it works. Uh, if you download the app, you make your picks. You can play with us. You can play with your friends, build communities, leagues, win contests, win prizes, a lot more. Look out for that stuff. And my record so far this year for all the UFC events is 34, 14, and 2. That's my picks record. And JSpec is sitting at 28, 20, and 2. The 2 is for those draws, those draws that we had earlier this year. Anyways, let's go, man. Let's get into it. Let's get into the first fight. Let's get the app on the screen first, and we'll see what's going on. Here we go. Boom. Here's the app.
Oh,
You see
there, right
that?
there.
It's a beautiful app right there. You see me? I'm working on getting my brown belt. Let's get into the app. Let's go inside and get to the fights. Boom, 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 all the way across. Here we go. First fight of the night is a flyweight matchup between Juan Camilo Ronderos and Clayton Carpenter. Ronderos is 27 years old, 4-1 record, 0-1 in the UFC. May 2021, he debuted on 1 day's notice. Saeed kind of knows something about that, right? Short notice fights in your debut. But he debuted against a top 15 guy, David Dvorak. He went in there. He lost by submission in the first round. August 2021, he tested positive for cocaine and weed and was suspended for 9 months. But on top of that,
That's my man.
on top of that, he did have a freak accident, a freak injury in sparring or in training. He told me, and he had to take a lot of time off to get that corrected. So he's been out for 21 months now. 21 months is a long time. He's facing off against Clayton Carpenter, 26 years old, undefeated, 6-0 record, and this is his UFC debut. He's a Contender Series winner. He won by unanimous decision last August, 7-fight win streak with 4 finishes, and he's on a 7-month layoff between fights. But before we get into Saeed and his breakdown of the fight, I'm going to play a clip from my interview with Juan Camilo. Here we go.
And as an immigrant coming from Colombia, hey man, it's kill or be killed. I have many challenges to overcome, and I feel like this is just another one, and another one, and another one. And I'm mentally stable and strong to where I'm going to overcome any challenges that I need to. As an immigrant, you have to be superb. Then even the people that are here, there's 100,000 other people just like me trying to accomplish their own dreams outside of the UFC, not including in the UFC, especially now how much it's grown. There's a hungrier kid out there than I am. So I have to stay on top of the curb and use that for fuel. Use all the negative things around me happening in my life to be able to become better with it and accept the negative thoughts, accept the negative things that are happening around my life, to be able to use that for fuel. It's me versus me out there. It's always going to be me versus me, not me versus Clayton, not me versus the champ, not me versus number 5, not me number 10. It's always going to be me versus me, and every day I have to become better at beating myself, and that's how I'm going to take it from here on out.
Saeed, what you got for us?
Oh, I mean, he sounds good. I mean, he's trying to. I mean, he's bringing this mentality, immigrant mentality, into this. I think I'm gonna go with the other guy for sure because he comes from contender series, and then he has a height advantage, reach advantage. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the other guy.
But he got the
Simple.
immigrant mentality, man. You know what's up with the immigrant mentality.
Uh yeah, man. Just fight is fight. You know what I mean?
All right, J Spec, what you got?
Man, first off, I love that interview. Learned a lot about him. I didn't know much about him before I watched that interview, so go ahead and check that out. The fans have spoken loud and clear on this one. There's no mistaking it. 89% of the fans supporting Mr. Clayton Carpenter in this one. Comment coming from CJ. Clayton, no brainer. Colombians have never had success in the UFC, sadly. Well, that's one point of view on it, and I get what he's saying. But on the other hand, he has a big challenge in front of him with that debut. All right, that debut for a lot of fighters is a huge, huge challenge. Um, Another thing that when I say he, Mr. Ronderos mentioned was seeing a sports psychologist and helping him get himself right. All right, this is basically like second chance prom for him. He lost his debut, took some time away, retooled himself, and hopefully he's coming out better. Um, I shy away from guys making their debut. I need to see what they're made of in the UFC. I like seeing their skill sets in the regional level, but it almost means nothing to me until that first time you come out. And with that reason alone, I am going against the public pick, and I'm going to make my choice for Mr. Ronderos.
Yeah, Ronderos, he's a likable guy, man. And he does have that immigrant mentality, and I love the immigrant mentality, man. It's something that, you can't teach somebody. But I'm gonna have to go with the bigger guy. I'm gonna have to go with the guy that has fought in the Apex, kind of, cut his teeth. Not he didn't just get thrown into the fire, and also Ronderos, he's coming off the injury as well, and maybe he's on cocaine and weed at this time around. Who knows, man? That's up in the air as well, man. I can't
That's a
trust
winning
that.
combination, man.
It is a
He's
winning
gonna-
combination. It is, but not during a fight, though. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to go with Carpenter. I think the Carpenter will probably take him out of the first round. I think Ronderos is tough enough. I think he goes to the second round, and I see a knockout. I see him getting a knockout. Let's go with that one. All right, next fight coming up. We got a welterweight matchup between AJ Fletcher and Temba Gorimbo. Fletcher, 25 years old, 9-2 record, 0-2 in the UFC. He's also a Contender Series winner, 89% finishing rate, but he is on back-to-back decision losses to Matthew Smessenberger and Ang Losa. He is coming off 7 months without fighting. Gorimbo, 32 years old, 10-3 record, making his UFC debut. He's a former EFC welterweight champion. That's in South Africa. 70% finishing rate, 6 submissions, 8 months between fights for him. Saeed, what do you see in this one?
Well, what I know about AJ Fletcher is, he does have a issue in this weight class. Like, he's short. He does have a gas tank issue. Like, he's a one-round fighter. That's why he kind of fumbles the bag, second, third round. But the other guy, I mean, I don't know much about the guy, and then the scene in South Africa. I mean, how's his wrestling? Because I know AJ Fletcher has a wrestling background a little bit. It might be, to me, if AJ Fletcher, he's on a 2 losing streak, I'm pretty sure he wants this really bad, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna go out there and then just do anything he can to get this win. And from what I know, I think I go with AJ Fletcher here.
All right, JSpec.
Well, I'm always echoing the voice of the people, and I want to remind them they can jump onto these fan polls via, I'm putting it the wrong way, via my Twitter account right there. So come on down and make your picks on these polls, because the public, once again, putting a strong stamp on who they are looking for. AJ Fletcher getting 81% of the public support on this matchup. And Said kind of pointed out, his back's against the wall. That's the most dangerous kind of animal, right? Is a cornered animal, and he's one of those. On the other side, though, Mr. Themba Gorimbo, he's come from the other side of the world, earning this spot the hard, long way. So you got to give him credit for that. You really, really do.
Brother.
There you go. But he's making his debut. And I'm gonna go with the guy who's fighting to keep his job versus the guy that's just showing up on day one. So give me some AJ Fletcher on this one.
All right, let me give you some background on Gorimbo. This dude has like the craziest story. His life is crazy. Like I interviewed him like years ago before like this whole UFC thing was even happening for him. The dude is from, I believe, from Zimbabwe, right? And he like survived through a drought and famine when he was a kid. He also was doing illegal diamond mining as a kid, almost got killed by rabid dogs. He was attacked by dogs and almost got killed there. This was even before he started training MMA. And then he snuck into South Africa, got deported, then snuck back into South Africa, and then he started training MMA. He's had a crazy life, man, and that's just part of it. Like his parents both died when he was a young kid as well. He's been through it, man. He's been through it. But when you look at skill for skill, AJ Fletcher, he's just a better fighter. He's just been against better competition. And I don't know. I just think that he just has a better training environment than Gorimba. I'm going to go with Fletcher. I think Fletcher gets a submission in the second round. I'm going with second round submission for Fletcher. Let's move on to the next fight. The next fight we got, here we go. A light heavyweight matchup
OSP.
between OSP, Oven St. Preux, 39 years old, 26-16 record, 14-11 in the UFC, 77% finishing rate. He has wins over Shogun Hua, Alonzo Menefield, and Corey Anderson. The last time we saw him fight was 8 months ago. Felipe Lins, his opponent, 37 years old, 15-5 record, 1-2 in the UFC, a former PFL heavyweight champion. So the boy has some money. He got the bag. 80% finishing rate, 8 knockouts, but he's on a longer layoff, 10 months. Before we get to Saeed, I want to play a clip from the interview that I did with Felipe Lins. Let's see what he got to say.
Before, at my last fight against Marcin Prachnio, I swim just 1 time a week. And for this fight, 3 times a week. And I'm feeling another guy, bro. I'll not get tired. I'm swimming like 1,000 meters every swim session, so I'm feeling very great and can do whatever I wanna do at the sparring. I'm not get tired. It's very good cardio training. So Vincent Preux is a very experienced guy, have a very good power, very good kicks, have that position in the ground, von flux, but this position is not gonna work with me. I'm doing a great camp, making a great strategy to fight him.
Saeed,
Yeah.
what you got?
Oh, I'm going with that PFL guy for sure, man. OSP, I don't trust that guy anymore, man. I mean, I gave up on him a long time ago. He actually lost me money a few times.
Against who?
Man, I don't know, man. It's like 2-3 years ago, man. It was just like, I think Jimmy Manu. I don't know, man. Did he fought Jimmy Manusha?
Manua? Yeah. He did.
Manua, yeah. I think that fight. Something. I remember. I was pissed, man. I was in Albuquerque, man. I know exactly what happened, man.
All right, JSpec, what do you got for us?
I think me and Said have lost on the same bets or same fights, maybe. OSP and I are not on the same frequency. Anytime I think he's gonna do good, he fails. Every time I think he's gonna fail, he shows up. I don't know. But you know what? You know who else doesn't know? The fans don't know. And that's not a diss. 50-50. The fan poll is 50-50, right down the middle. So that's very interesting to me. Talking to some fans in some spaces, basically it just comes down to some fans just don't know who Mr. Lins is, and other people are just like, oh, OSP, I remember him from years ago. So they get this lingering idea of who he was or who he should be now. I don't know. But the point is that I'm on the other side of that. I'm like, who are you, man? I don't know. And I'd rather trust the PFL champ, somebody who's hungry, grinding, and he still has so much to prove. You check out the rest of that interview. He's a smiling killer. And those are the most dangerous people, the smiling killers. And that's what I think Mr. Lins is. So my pick, Mr. Lins.
Yeah, OSP, man, he's unpredictable, man. He was one of my favorite fighters to watch a few years back, but now he's just like, you don't know what to expect from him, man. Sometimes he's a killer, sometimes he's just so hesitant. And with Lins, man, Lins is only focused about winning. And he seems like, if you watch his last fight, he was focused on winning. He stuck to the game plan. He didn't take too many risks, and he won a decision. That's what I see in this fight. I think he sticks to a game plan. He knows what to do, stays off the ground, and wins this fight with some striking. And he's gonna go all 3 rounds. I see the decision for Lins in this one. Now let's go to the next fight. This is a featherweight matchup between Jamal Emmers and Hussein Askabov. Man, Askabov, this guy, man, he was supposed to make his debut like 10 years ago, but hey, better late than never. Emmers, 33 years old, 18-6 record, 1-2 in the UFC, 56% finishing rate, 7 knockouts. He has losses to Giga Chikadze and Pat Sabatini, and a unanimous decision win over Vince Cotero. He's coming off a 17-month layoff. That's a long time of not fighting. Askabov, 28 years old, undefeated, 23-0 record. He's making this UFC debut. Former WWFC double champ, bantamweight and featherweight, 70% finishing rate, 10 submissions. Listen to this shit. 35 months he hasn't fought. 35 months. That's like people have becoming a champ and not a champ in 35 months in the UFC. That's how long he's been out.
People make it to the UFC and leaving in 2 months.
Yeah, for real. It's crazy. Saeed, what you got on this one, man? What do you know?
Man, on this one, why was he? There should be a reason that he couldn't get. You know what I mean? He couldn't fight in the UFC. Maybe he was on the cycle. You know what I mean? You know what they do out there. You know what I mean? And then his record is kind of questionable out there. I'm looking at it. I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't really make sense to me here. You know what I mean? But that's his debut, and 23-0, questionable pattern record. Probably off the steroids. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to go with the UFC guy here. You know, I'm gonna have to go with the other guy because just because he's 23-0, it doesn't really mean it's legit. I'm looking at it. He was just fighting 0-0 guys just when he was 17-0. You know what I mean? I'm right there. I'm looking at it. He was fighting on one guy when he was 11-0. So I don't trust that. So I'm gonna have to go with the other guy. But that's my pick. But if I was betting, I would stay away from this fight. I would not bet on this fight.
There you go, JSpec.
Well, here we have another one where the fans are dead smack down the middle. Somebody, dead smack down the middle. 50-50 is the fans' feelings on this one. There's not a whole lot to talk about in this fight. All right, not a whole lot of people know a lot about these guys. I hate to say this right now, but not a lot of fans care about either of these two guys right now. And when I kind of look at it, I understand what Said's saying. I kind of want to agree with him for my pick, but Mr. Askabov has 10 submissions, and last time out, Emmers got subbed. So I'm just kind of hoping jiu-jitsu magic happens. Let's go, Askabov. Yeah. Did I say Askabov? Sorry about that.
Askabov.
Askabov. There we go.
All right, there you go.
Askabov.
Thanks, sir.
Man, Said, you make some great points, man, about his record. And he hasn't fought in 35 months. He's just so unknown. Like, he hasn't been tested. And Jamal Emmers has been tested. He fought Giga Chikadze on his UFC debut. That's a tough fight. I'm going to take Emmers in this fight. I think Emmers gets a TKO. He's usually getting TKOs. Second round, I think he survives the first. I'm taking the second round in this one. The next fight coming up, a women's bantamweight matchup, Lena Landsberg versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Landsberg is 40 years old, 10-7 record, 4-6 in the UFC on a 3-fight losing streak, 40% finishing rate, 4 TKOs, wins over Macy Sarjan and Tanya Evinger. She is 4 months between fights. Silva, 31 years old, so there's a 9-year age gap, 9-2-1 record, 4-2-1 in the UFC on a 2-fight win streak, 78% finishing rate, 6 submissions, wins over Jillian Robertson and Stephanie Egger, and she's 7 months between fights. Saeed, what do you got in this one?
On this one, it's crazy that I know both of them. I don't know how because I probably watch them. I know the other Letzenberg. She comes from CFFC. On her debut, I think she beat that girl from California. I forgot her name. She's not in the UFC no more. That OnlyFans model. Um, I mean, this is pretty clear out here. I mean, the 40 years old going against, you know what I mean, the killer girl from Brazilian. And then I'm going to have to go with Silva here. Definitely.
All right, JSpec.
Well, 75% of the fans signing up for MBS, Myra Buenosova. And I want to read a little note here from Andrew. I didn't even look at the line, just tape. Hard to take a 40-year-old on a 3-fight losing streak. MBS isn't worth negative 500 that she's at all, but I don't really see a pathway to victory for Lena. Basically, those words and basically captures how everybody that I've talked to feels. Almost everybody thinks Lena is basically food in this one, and I can't find a good reason to argue them. I really can't. I really tried to support you, Miss Landsberg, but I just couldn't find any solid argument on why you're going to win this fight. I hate to say it that bluntly. My pick, Buenosova.
All right, so when you look at this matchup, Silva, she has 6 submission wins, and 2 of those submissions against Robertson and Eggers. Robinson, she's also a submission guy, and she submitted the submission girl. And Eggers as well, she's like a ground specialist, and she submitted her. So I'm thinking she's going to go to the ground with Landsberg and submit her as well. So in this fight, I'm going to take Silva by submission in the 3rd round. I think they bang it out a little bit on the feet before they actually fight. Now, the next fight coming up in the lightweight division, we got Nazim Saidyokub versus Evan Elder. Saidyokub, 28 years old, 7-1 record, making his UFC debut, 7-fight win streak, Contender Series winner. He won by 3rd round knockout, 86% finishing rate with 5 TKOs. He is 6 months between fights. Elder, on the flip side, 25 years old, 7-1 record, same record, 0-1 in the UFC, but there's an asterisk because his only loss was his last fight at welterweight on his UFC debut on day's notice, and he lost a unanimous decision to Preston Parsons. Elder has a 71% finishing rate, 4 TKOs, and he took a 10-month break after his UFC debut to retool, which is good to see. Let's listen to a clip from my interview with Evan Elder. Here we go.
He does a lot of stuff really well. What he does it well. I do think he has some holes in his game, and that's what I'm going to be trying my best to exploit. And I think my easiest path to victory is going to be to make it an MMA fight. Like I was saying, I'm not just a striker or grappler or anything like that. I'm a mixed martial artist, so do my best to keep the level changes up and down, keep them guessing. My strikes are going to set up my takedowns. My takedowns are going to set up my strikes. But I think he's going to primarily want to come just straight forward and just draw me into a brawl and get me to sit down in the pocket with him where he can sit down and let loose some combinations. And I think that's the biggest thing I got to avoid. But I'm here to compete. I'm not just gonna. They're not just gonna give up once things get hard. So I know he's definitely got that in him too. But like you said, it's a competition. I'm gonna show him that. I'm hoping that that skill of mine in particular is definitely gonna shine through.
Hey, is it just me, but does Elder look like he's doing his interview from like an interrogation room? Doesn't he look like it?
Dark site. Off grid.
It looked like it.
Hey,
Right?
he's probably in his basement, man, trying to make it out here. You know what I mean?
For real, yes. People in the struggle, for real. All right, Said, what you got for this one?
On this one, I know Nazim. Why Nazim kind of look like me, right? I know Nazim. I know him from like teenager days. You know what I mean? I know him from. Yeah, I know this guy. You know what I mean? We grew up in Brooklyn. We used to train in the same gym. We used to do the same. We didn't do the same training, but we're in the same gym. You know what I mean? He used to do like Muay Thai, kickboxing. He used to teach classes, but I used to like wrestle. He's been in this sport forever, man. He's been in this sport, man. He's trying to get in the UFC forever, but he did too much focusing on the kickboxing than actually in MMA. On this one, I'm gonna have to go against Nazim because he does have a lot of holes, like this guy said. As long as he's gonna turn this fight into MMA and take him down and just grind him, I mean, he got the money in the bag. You know what I mean? And then Nazim, his last fight, I mean, the guy he beat, that poor Evgeny guy, you know what I mean? Who knew what kind of lifestyle he was living in America? You know what I mean? The guy didn't even look he was there, even though he was done. It took Nazim to like 3 almost rounds to finish him. You know what I mean? The guy was done in like 1 round. So, and Nazim does have a cardio issue. He does fades in second, third round. So I'm gonna have to go with the Elder.
All right, there you go. JSpec.
Probably TKO.
Wow.
Ooh. All right. 55% of the fans signing up with Nazim. All right, he's getting a little bit of the edge, of the fan support on this one. The question mark that comes up is who has he really fought? That's kind of the thing that people say when we bring him up. On the other hand, Elder, if you watch the rest of that interview, which I hope you do, go check it out. It's pretty awesome because he goes in and he just owns it. He just owns all the errors he made in his debut. Like he literally just goes down a laundry list of things that he could have done better. And two things. One, if you're trying to get into somewhere and get a job in any prestigious place, that means you would do anything to get there, right? And this guy did it. He took the not ideal weight on a one day, 1 minute notice, basically, and gets his job now in the UFC. He took some time off, retooled himself, was really, really honest about his loss and how he went about it. Dude, I'm torn up on this fight. It's hard for me to pick, but I want to share a little statement shared by one of our fans. Blitzberg just said something clever to say. He said, "Respect ya, elders." It's a little pun there, and I'm going with it. I respect my elders, and that's why I'm going with Evan. Go, Evan.
All right, I'm gonna go with Evan, and I'm gonna believe everything that Saeed said because he's an insider. And yeah, Elder's just a mixed martial artist, man. The guy's base is mixed martial arts. He doesn't have like one strength. He could do everything, and he's really good at game planning and executing the game plan. If you've seen him on the regional scene, and his last fight, you can't really tell much from that because he was on short notice, like days notice, and he was up a weight class. You got to respect him for that, for taking that chance. So I'm taking Elder. I'm going to go with, like Saeed said, TKO. I'm going to go with third round. I think he hangs in there for a while. I think we're going to see a little bit of back and forth in that fight. Now, let's move on to one of the big fights, I think, on this card is a lightweight matchup between Jim Miller and Alex Hernandez. Miller, 39 years old, 35-19 record, 24-15 in the UFC. Damn, 24-15 in the UFC. 3-fight win streak, 71% finishing rate, 19 submissions. Wins over Donald Cerrone, Clay Guida, and Charles Oliveira. There has been 7 months between fights for him. On the flip side, Hernandez, he's coming in on short notice, 30 years old, 13-6 record, 5-5 in the UFC on a 2-fight losing streak. 62% finishing rate, 6 TKOs, wins over Francisco Trinaldo, OAM, and Benil Dariush, which was pretty long time ago. 2 months between fights. Saeed, man, what do you see in this one, man?
Man, yesterday I was talking to the other people about these picks, and I was just because I said I'm going with Jim and Miller, they started like, oh no. But man, Hernandez, he comes off he doesn't know if he wants to fight 45 or 55. I think he does have a mentality issues. You know what I mean? He's coming off his last fight was TKO.
Yeah,
how he lost the last fight. I mean,
TKO.
2 months he's fighting after 2 months after getting TKO'd. I think he's just panicking. He wants to just get this win so bad, and then he's gonna just rush into the things, and then just like always, he's gonna rush into things, and then even though he clipped Jimmy Miller, he's gonna try to finish him on the ground. He's gonna go really hard, and then Jimmy Miller is really good on the ground. He's gonna defend himself really well, and then he's gonna gas out, and then he's gonna get. I think Jimmy Miller is gonna win by submission. I predict guillotine. It has to be guillotine. I think he will get the guillotine choke.
All right, JSpec.
All right. Well, speaking for myself and many, many other people who've echoed this, a lot of people find this as like the gem of the card, maybe the saving fight on this card that's not packed with stars. Hardcores love this one. The fans have spoke pretty clearly too. 68% for the ever ongoing Mr. Miller. On a personal note, I love Mr. Miller. I want to see him fight all the time. But on the other side, not just me, but many, many, many people have built into the head that Hernandez is basically a one-round fighter. All right. Then you have in the thing that Say just mentioned, coming off of a knockout quickly too. Many red flags, changing weight class. I mean, I don't know how many oopsies you need when looking at a fight or like things that you want to gloss over, but there's too many in the circumstances. There's too many. And Jim, he's on a streak. Why not? Why not go for the legend? Why not? I am. So there you go. Mr. Miller, one more time for the old school.
You know, a lot of people say the UFC cares about fighter health. Well, this shows you they don't care about fighter health, is because they're allowing Hernandez to come back after getting TKO'd in 2 months. You know, I mean, you should be, you know, a little bit more cautious about that, especially with head trauma. I'm taking Jim Miller, man. I'm thinking he's going to get his 20th submission in this one. Hernandez is he's a one-round fighter. If you've seen his fights, he just gasses himself out. I don't even know, like he looks like the best in the world for 5 minutes. And then after that, it's just like he hits a cliff and just drops into the ocean. Yeah, hits the wall. And Jim Miller, you can't do that with Jim Miller. Jim Miller he's a dog. Like he's a dog. He's gonna be in there forever. And yeah, I'm gonna take Jim Miller on this one. Submission, like you said, I'd say he probably goes into the second round. I think the first round's gonna be wild. We're gonna be entertained in that first round. Now, main event time, or not main event, main card time. We got a light heavyweight matchup between William Knight and Marcin Prachnio. Knight, 34 years old, 11-4 record, 3-3 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, 82% finishing rate, all KOs. All of his finishes are KOs. He has wins over Alonzo Menefield and Fabio Charant. 10 months between fights for him. Marcin, 34 years old, same age, 15-6 record, 2-4 in the UFC, 80% finishing rate, 11 KOs. Wins over Khalil Roundtree and Ike Villanueva. He has 9 months between fights. Before I get to Saeed, I'm going to play this clip from my interview with William Knight. He has some words for some people. Listen to him.
Whole 2023 is redemption, bro. Like last year, everybody tapped into that fucking money pool and fucked me over. They kept taking from me. Not literal sense of money, but from me as a person. They took my kindness for weakness. And this year is going to be a different story, man. Like, for real. And I know this is an interview. This is going to be out there. And I hope they all hear this, yo. You guys are some fucked up people. And karma's coming. Man, explosive movements and just me, man. The old gritty me. The 2019 version. That monster. Trust me. Anyone that looks up anything about me in 2019... after the first Contender Series and before that, that was a gritty motherfucker. I just didn't give a fuck. That version of me is here.
Saeed, what you got? He's on fire.
I love that guy, man. He's funny. Hey, I'm going with Knight, man, all day. I don't know much about the other guy. I don't think he has wrestling background, right? He doesn't wrestle.
No, he doesn't wrestle.
No, he does not wrestle. If he doesn't wrestle, I think we're gonna get knocked out with Knight here. Let's go, first round.
All right, JSpec.
All right, fans pulls in one direction. William Knight, 73% of the vote.
Yo.
So a large portion. Yeah, there you go. You know, echoing a little bit of, you know, how people feel and how people have been reacting to this fight, and I bring it up, is like everybody has, you know, even if they don't like Mr. Knight, they have something to say about Mr. Knight. Almost everybody, when I ask them about Mr. Prachnio, it's just crickets, you know, and for good or bad, maybe being mysterious is a good thing. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. But if you look in, once again, watch that interview, check into some other stuff. William Knight on his little losing streak, man, he's been going through some real hard shit in his real life. He lost 7 people close to him in a single calendar year. That's a lot of loss. But you know what comes out from losing is the ability to adjust and get better. And he's finally fighting back at the weight class he belongs in. He's supposed to be 205. There's a whole, you know, list of reasons why heavyweight happened. But I'm excited to see Mr. Knight healthy, focused in his weight class, and that's why he's my pick for this fight.
William Knight is angry, and he's built like a German tank, and he throws bombs like an Iraqi missile. I don't know, man. The dude is insane. Like, if he's mad, you don't want to be in his way. And he's really, really like changed a lot of things around ahead of this fight, and he really wants to show himself in this year. I'm taking Knight, man. I'm thinking he's gonna get the KO in the first round. That's first. Like, he's gonna throw bombs, dude. He's gonna be mad at some people. He's gonna take it out on some people, and you don't want to be there. Sorry, Marcin. I'm sorry that you're gonna be against him, but we'll see. Now let's move on to the next one. Heavyweight matchup: Josh Parisian versus Jamal Pogues. Parisian, 33 years old, 15-5 record, 2-2 in the UFC, 87% finishing rate, 11 KOs, wins over Alan Baudut and Rocky Martinez. Last fight was canceled on fight day due to heart issues. 7-month layoff for him. Jamal Pogues, 27 years old, 9-3 record, UFC debut. He is a Bellator veteran. He's a 2-time Contender Series winner, and he's on a 2-fight win streak, 56% finishing rate, 4 KOs. He has 6 months between fights. Before we get to Saeed, I'm going to play a clip from Josh Parisian's interview that I did. Here we go.
I think he's a super athletic guy. I think he's talented in multiple areas. I think he's very fast, but I don't think he hits as nearly as hard as some of the fighters I've fought before, which is kind of like, I don't know, that's like a comfort in itself. You know what I mean? I'm less likely to get knocked out. And by, his record, statistically, he does a lot of decisions. So I think that he's just, he's really good at just breaking people, pointing people down. And, but I think I'm unbreakable, man. I think I've had one fight where it's like my opponent didn't break me. I broke me weeks before the fight. You know what I mean? But like, a person is not going to break me in that moment. And right now I'm in a good mindset. So I think he's going to have a hard time putting it to me. I think it's gonna be a tough one to get 50K bonus against this guy, because I think that I'm gonna have to break him before he breaks me. Like, not that I want everybody to have bad fights, but I just hope they have worse fights than me.
Saeed, what do you got on this one?
Damn. I mean, honestly, I don't know much about these guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna just go with the guy that I know. I mean, that has more fights than in the UFC, and then he doesn't get knocked out. So I mean, I want to believe him. So I'm gonna go with what's his name? Persistence. What's his name?
Parisian.
I'm gonna go with the white guy. Make it
All right.
easier.
Yeah, for sure. JSpec, what are the people saying?
The people are loud and clear on how they feel on this one. 77% with Mr. Josh Parisian. Right? I couldn't even get much of a reaction. Try to ask people anything about Mr. Pogues, and I really didn't get anywhere with it. He's making his debut in the UFC. The thing is, if you look, he's been there, done that, in pretty much all the major North American organizations. But unfortunately, he's not that great at previous stints at any of them. And now he's making the debut at the UFC. It's just tough to go with him. Parisian's heart issue. Apparently, it's all good. Hopefully, it's all good. God bless him. And so, with that being said, I'm going with the veteran, not the debutant, Mr. Parisian.
Yeah, I'm going with Parisian in this one, man. I don't know much about Pogues, and Parisian, he's light on his feet, and he has hands. Like, he has speed, he has power, and if he sees you a little bit hurt, he's gonna come after you. And I think that's what's gonna happen in this one. I see a first round knockout for Josh Parisian. Let's move on to the co-main event. The co-main event is a light heavyweight bout between Zach Puaga and Jordan Wright. Puaga is 34 years old, 5-1 record, 0-1 in the UFC. His only loss was his debut at Tough 30 finale. He lost by knockout to Mohammed Usman. He has a 20% finishing rate and 7 months between fights. Jordan Wright, 31 years old, 12-4 record, 2-4 in the UFC on a 3-fight losing streak, 100% finishing rate, all knockouts, wins over Ike Villanueva and Jamie Pickett. This is his first fight at 205, so he's jumping up a weight class. 4 months between fights for Jordan Wright. Before we get to Saeed, I'm going to play my interview with Zach.
So he's going to come out hard. He's going to come out hard. He's just being honest about it. He's fighting for his job, right? I think he's on a 3-fight skid. He's going to come out and try and impress Dana, and it's my job to not let that happen. And I don't know if that's going to be through him either just blitzing me or him skirting the outside looking for a big head kick. But either way, it's the same answer for me. I'm trying to put my forehead right in his chest and push him up to the cage and do work from there. And I'm sure he's working on his cardio, but that's not just something that happens in 2 months. You know, that's a lifetime of commitment to getting your cardio to being fight ready. So that's how I see it going. You never want fight of the night. Like the 50K is cool, but you don't actually want fight of the night because that means you if you won or lost, you got your ass kicked. You don't want fight of the night. I want performance bonuses. That's what I want.
Saeed, you think he's gonna get a performance bonus?
I don't think none of them getting no bonus, so let's cut that shit off. I mean, I kind of agree with him, man. I mean, Jordan Wright, man. I don't believe anybody from LA. You know what I mean? The Beverly Hills. I don't trust those people. His first 7 fights was against all guys, man. He finished nobody's in 7-0. I wish I did that in my career, man. My stupid ass was fighting Umar in my 5th fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just fighting these hard fights all my life, man. This guy's just pattern records, man. Jordan Wright, he's a one-round fighter. We know that. He comes off a middleweight. I know. I've been watching him. He comes off a middleweight. Now he's a 205. He's gonna get his ass whooped again, and then I don't think he's gonna get cut after this because he's from Beverly Hills Ninja. You know what I mean? They got connections and stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, he's Jordan Wright getting TKO'd or KO'd maybe even.
All right, JSpec, what you got?
Well, the fans saying 58% giving their support to Mr. Palga on this one. Talking with people, they line up and they say similar things, and the thing is they're suspect on Jordan Wright's chin, and that's not something you want people saying about you, man. That's not real good. Like Saeed said, he's a one round wonder in most cases. The other question is 205, right? Like this is debut at 205. That's the biggest gap in all the weight classes. I mean, exclude heavyweight, but like between weight classes, that's a 20-pound jump. That's a league of its own. 205 ain't nothing to play with, and he's playing with it. He's playing with it on his last fight on his contract, which also makes it weird and dangerous. People are weird about it. Most people think, when I talk to him about Zach Palga, most people think that he's a better fighter than Muhammad. He just didn't belong in heavyweight when we're talking about being upper weight class that you don't belong in, and boom goes the dynamite sometimes. So, with all that being said, signing up with Palga.
All right, Jordan Wright, like I just got to echo what you guys said, is that Jordan Wright, he comes out and he's throwing haymakers for 1 round. And if he doesn't land, then he loses. And either that's what's going to happen. Either he's going to land a haymaker on Zach, or Zach's going to weather the storm and finish him in round 2 or 3. That's what I see. So I'm going to take Zach knockout. I think he's going to take him to the ground, grind him out, and then ground and pound him. I say 2nd round. I think it won't go to the 3rd. Now we go to the main event. Main event time. We got a women's flyweight bout. We got some contenders here. Jessica Andrade, the former strawweight champion, 31 years old, 24-9 record, 15-7 in the UFC on a 3-fight win streak, 71% finishing rate, 9 knockouts, 8 submissions. She has wins over Lauren Murphy, Cynthia Calvillo, and Caitlin Chukagian. She just fought like less than a month ago at UFC 283 and got the victory against Lauren Murphy, actually. On the flip side, you have Erin Blanchfield, 23 years old, 10-1 record, 4-0 in the UFC on a 7-fight win streak, 50% finishing rate, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. She has wins over Molly McCann, Miranda Maverick, JJ Aldrich, and she's coming off a 3-month layoff, so it's not too long since she last fought. Saeed, what do you see in this women's main event?
Man, I met Andrade in Brazil, man. Her arms are bigger than mine. I was surprised. I was like, damn. Man, I don't know, man. Other girl is pretty. She's a submission girl, no? She does a lot of is she?
Yeah,
Is she
she's
good
like a
jiu-jitsu?
submission.
Is it what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, Jessica. I'm gonna go with the Jessica here, man. Just because she is. When I met her in person, man, she's a strong woman. You know what I mean? She looks. Man, I'm like I said, man, her bicep is like bigger than mine, man. You know what I mean? I was damn. It was I'm gonna go with Jessica here.
She is a specimen. Jay, what you got?
I just want to say thanks, Said, for saying Andrade, because where I'm from, that last name's Andrade. Pro U.S. boxer is Andrade, and then she's Andrade. Same spelling, same last name, but different ways of pronouncing it. Names are hard. But you know what's not hard? Reading a poll. And 64% of the people pick Miss Andrade to win this main event. Now, I want to read a couple of comments left by my buddy Andrew. Point blank, the only way Erin wins is if the bookies get involved. Objectively speaking, she has no pathway to victory. This is easy money, man. All right, Zach, dropping it. Think the common sense pick here would be Jessica, but there is just something about the calmness of Erin's end going into this fight. Assuming being 10-1 would be a factor to her confidence. Due to that, I have to go against common sense and lean Blanchfield here. So you got some people pulled in slightly different directions on this one. The real big question is peaking physically. And I don't know how this works, but what I've heard from many fighters is like there's a cycle of physical peak, being at your physical peak, and Andrade just fought not that long ago, you know? So a lot of people are like, oh, she's gonna be in shape, she's gonna be in shape. Yeah, but is that like on the downside of that cycle? I don't know, but I don't think that's good enough reason to fade her or go against her. I mean, she put an ass kicking on Murphy, and this is not like one step up for Blanchfield. This is not even two step. This is a world level of difference in opponent for Blanchfield. And I know Blanchfield's a big prospect and she's been proving herself and doing a good thing. And I don't want to go against her. I actually had her in the previous matchup, but all that's been scrapped. So give me Andrade. Give me the lady that can knock me out with a single punch for real.
I think she would.
She would.
Blanchfield, man, when you look at her, she's beaten Molly McCann, Miranda Maverick, and JJ Aldrich, right, in her last couple of fights. Jessica Andrade has beaten Lauren Murphy, Cynthia Calvillo, and Caitlin Chukadian. These are like top 5 fighters in the flyweight division. And the last time you saw Andrade kind of get dominated on the ground was against the champ, Valentina Shevchenko. Would you consider Erin Blanchfield to be the level of Valentina Shevchenko? That's what you got to look at it as, right? Because Jessica Andrade, she's probably the strongest woman in that division next to Valentina Shevchenko, right? So is Erin Blanchfield that strong? Or has she been dominating fighters that are not to the level, you know what I mean, as her? And is she that high level? Or can you consider her the level of a champion like Andrade? I think that she has a chance to win this fight, but it's hard to go against Jessica Andrade, man. She's a killer. Like she kills people in there. Like she knocked girls out dead in that octagon. You remember that Carolina Kolovich fight where she landed that hook and like you were scared for her. Like she shattered her face. Like that's how much power Andrade has. And I'm taking Andrade. I think Andrade gets the KO in the second round. I don't think this fight lasts very long. Yeah, second round KO. There you go. Perfect. So there's all my picks right there on the screen. You guys can see that. Everybody made their picks. That was a quick one, man. This weekend is only going to be 11 fights. You know what I mean? Usually it was like 15, 18 fights. This weekend's only 11. So get out your popcorn and your sodas and your extracurricular activities and have a good time. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you guys go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app. Saeed, it was good, man, catching up with you and getting your insight, your expert opinion. We'll have you on again in the future. And yeah, man, everybody, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace out.